The first year, there were only 3 sides to the quadrangle, a little, one of those interesting things. And then the 4th side was built the second year, and I wound up in an office on the 5th floor and on the new 4th side. The only trouble was the building had been built too quickly, and it kept settling. And it kept settling in such a way that I couldn't open my door. And getting into my office wasn't bad because I just hurled myself against it and it opened in. But getting out was quite problematic because I had to pull in. So I used to call down to the PSA, the infamous PSA department that was down the hall. I say, I'm stuck again. And I'd hear the guys coming, and sort of mustering up in front of my office door as I cowered in a corner, and then they just kind of, as a battering ram, come through the door.
The arrival of the academic procession marking the official opening of Simon Fraser University. Chancellor of the University, Dr. Schrum, followed by the Premier, W.A.C. Bennett.
I had heard of W.A.C. Bennett, but I didn't know what he looked like. And in the opening, when the university first opened, the convocation, I found myself right next to a person who was putting on this huge chain around his neck. And I said, how interesting, when do you serve the wine? And he laughed and he said, who are you and what do you teach? I said, I teach U.S. history. He said, you know the man who I admire most? I said, no. He said, Alexander Hamilton. He really knew how to do something apart from the Constitution of the United States. And I introduced myself. I said, I'm Alan David Aberbach. He said, I'm W.A.C. Bennett, the Prime Minister of British Columbia.
When a chance came up, I had to make my choice between trying to stay on at UBC. I was offered a job there, or coming to what was essentially a hole in the ground. This was 1965, and given my experience at UBC, I chose the hole in the ground. And I've never been sorry that I made that choice.
But whether we ever achieve greatness and join that supreme orbit reserved for great institutions of higher learning will depend not upon the site, not upon the architecture, the laboratories, nor even upon the library, but on the quality of our professors, their dedication to teaching and research, and upon the achievements of our graduates, both as scholars and as public-spirited members of society.
Many of us came because Schrum had sold it to the province on the idea it was to be a teaching university. And a lot of people came who were really interested in teaching. But I think we were interested in teaching. We were interested in teaching like you. I mean, I've gone out to so many church basements and given talks on child psychology that, I go 100 times or something like that. But we just took that as part of our teaching.
It was on the teaching end of it, the thing that was so different. And really, this is why I think Simon Fraser was so revolting in the beginning, because we had an administrative tradition that was very conservative and very traditional, but an education system that was very radical and new, and it seems inevitable that the two were going to come into conflict, especially since many of us who had come were very young. We were just out of graduate school, and we were very attracted to an education system which put the student much more center stage.
In those days, we didn't have chairs, we had heads. And so the opening years were rather curious. He had a departmental assistant, and most of the colleagues were from Britain. And they had a very different concept about heads and chairs. As a matter of fact, they had never heard of chairs before. And I remember when the departmental assistant sent us a notice saying, "Sir will be available to his faculty on Tuesday and Thursday at a particular hour." And so if we wanted to see him, if we wanted to see Sir, we had to come during that particular hour. Things
Yes.
changed very quickly.
Indeed. That was quite different. We were told, well, here in Canada, we abide by British tradition. We have heads, and you people from the States, of course, do things differently. You revolutionaries from out there.